All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the McKinney Podcast, where we celebrate what makes us unique by nature. And if this episode doesn't get you in the holiday spirit, then your ticker might be a little bit broken. So we have the privilege of talking with Chris and Lori. Not Fritchie.
Fritchie.
Is it
right.
Fritchie?
Yep.
Oh, I said it right. Cool.
Right. You did.
Fritchie. They are the owners of Magic Makers Studio, a visual arts studio here in McKinney. And I say visual arts because when you see some of the work they put out, it is so much more than just a picture. It is literally a work of art that blends the painting with the picture, the traditional portraiture. They've got some very cool stuff going on this holiday season. Fred and I wanted to invite them in to talk about 100 free Santa sessions that's going to be coming. When you guys listen to this episode, we're dropping this the first Monday of December. And pay close attention because there's a lot going on in December. Before we get to that, though, I definitely want to get Chris and Lori the opportunity to introduce themselves. When Chris filled out the guest information form, under biography, he said, "I'll get this to you."
Yeah, well, here I am.
And here he is. He's going to give it to us live and in person. So I'm going to do something we haven't done before. I'm going to start the guest intro music, and you give your own bio and your own guest intro.
There we go.
So there we go.
But we need it hyped.
I'm getting hyped here.
Match the soundtrack.
There you go.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, I am Chris Fritchie. This is my wife, Lori.
Hello.
And we own Magic Maker Studio here in downtown McKinney. We're a block off the square. We have been in McKinney now. This is our 10th year. It is a photography studio. And I started my career just one city over about 20 years ago as the photographer for Frisco Style Magazine. Was there 8 years and have done work for them for the last 20 years. But what elevated us or what put us on the map as a photography studio in North Texas is Santa. We run one of the top Santa portrait experiences in the country. We teach photographers all over the nation. We've won just about every award you can win in the photography industry, some for Santa, some not for Santa. So that's who we are, but also we run Santa on the Square for the city of McKinney. Those of you that don't know what Santa on the Square, there's a bunch of little houses. They're out on the square. And then we also do during the festival where you can just come take your own picture with Santa. Use your phone during Home for the Holidays. So we're kind of ingrained in Santa, and every day I'm starting to look more like Santa.
Oh, man. Love it. Lori, what's your role here? We've got the talent, the guy behind the camera, but it seems like you're the glue that makes it all happen. You're the administrator extraordinaire, the operations manager and whatnot. What do you bring to the team, so to speak?
Well, I try to keep up with Chris, which can be very difficult to do. He's a very busy man. But I take care of all the sales in the studio. I help the customers go through their images, select what will help design their art on their wall. Then I also place their orders. I do a lot of customer management, a lot of development. We also do a lot of, we kind of spearhead the marketing together, but I create a lot of the marketing that goes out as well.
Cool.
And I think she's underselling what she does. I'm kind of the face of what we do, but she does really even more than that. She's the one that keeps us out of the ditches, if that makes sense, keeps us focused. She's got her master's in education, and we do a lot of education for photographers. So she helps build the foundation that we do everything on. So without her, I'd probably be on the golf course or drinking bourbon somewhere or something. So she keeps me in line and keeps me focused and deals with my ADHD and all that.
I just think it's funny that when they first arrived and shook hands with Chris and introduced myself and then with Lori, and I want to make sure I get that spelled correctly. So that's Lori, and Chris says this is how you spell it, BOSS.
That's right.
Smart man.
That's right.
So you've been together with Lori long enough to know exactly what your place in this world is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As any well-trained husband would say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
She's the boss.
That's right.
Or I like to joke around here at RiskWell, I might be technically CEO, but Allison's really in charge. I'm just the guy who talks to people and sells stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally appreciate that. It's very interesting for me to see in person. I came to your studio to get better acquainted with you guys and invited you to come on the podcast. It's different when a photographer is not just a photographer.
Right.
You guys have basically 2 or 3 different distinctly unique things that you do. Right. Fred, owner of FredShots, Fred's product is Fred's product. Like if you see one of Fred's shots, his style is very distinct, but he does one thing and he does it extremely, extremely well. He does some sports stuff, some event stuff from time to time, but what he's known for is executive portraiture.
Okay.
And with you guys, like you've got these artistic, like they're not just a photograph; it is a fine art production.
Right.
And some of the stuff that I saw on the wall in your studio, I'm like, my gosh, that is. It's AI. There's Photoshop. There's all these, artistic elements that are put in that meld with the picture. But then you've also got just your run-of-the-mill, nice Santa thing on the square. And bring your iPhone and snap a quick little casual picture. You got a lot going on, man.
We do, yeah. I've struggled. For 20 years, we all, as artists or what have you, have imposter syndrome where you really, did I really deserve this recognition or do I deserve that? And I would say in the last couple of years, and a lot of that's because of the education and the time that I've put in educating myself and making myself better, having a mentor, and really finding my space that I'm comfortable being in. And I watched a great YouTube broadcast the other day, and it says, "Well, are you a photographer or are you a photo artist, and where do you fall in the end of it?" And I definitely feel really comfortable now, and it's taken a long time to get there, to say I'm a photo artist. I really don't think of myself as a photographer, even though I did editorial for so many years. But I like to create. I love to tell stories. I was inspired by Norman Rockwell and Thomas Kincaid. So growing up, I was an Eagle Scout. I guess I still am. They haven't taken that away from me. But I can remember getting the Boys Life magazine as a kid and loving to flip through it and seeing the thing that stood out to me is I always loved it when there would be an issue that would have some Norman Rockwell art in it. And that's just always stood out to me. And I really didn't get in touch with that myself until my daughter was in high school when she wanted to be on the photojournalism team, and I had played around with shooting some images for my landscape business years ago, and I was the designer for that. But that's what got me into photography. But Norman Rockwell and telling stories, that's probably the biggest thing that I do that sets me apart from most photographers, is the passion I have for trying to tell a story with an image or a series of images.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so settle the big question here, because the one thing I know is that seems like every other day there's a new photographer in town, and there's nothing wrong with that, because at one point I was also that new photographer in town. Right. What camera system do you use?
I'm Canon all the way. Have been for forever. I'd love to get a medium format Hasselblad or something really cool, but I'll turn around and I'll also say I'm not what I call a pixel peeper. I'm not to me it's if you walked around the studio, where's my camera? It's laying over there somewhere. Where's that lens? It's laying over there somewhere. It's to me, I think
that's so true. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that drive you crazy?
That's another one of my job description. Goes to my job description.
Lens retriever.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's to me the camera is no different than a construction worker's hammer.
That's right.
Or a mechanic's screwdriver or socket set. It's just so really. I don't see much of a difference. My motto is when a piece of equipment that I'm using is preventing me from doing something that I need to do or want to do, that's when I look at it. And the technology is so good today that I'm not buying very often.
Mm-hmm. When I look at the audience for what you do, there's 3 distinct different audiences. The thing that we're talking about here with 100 free Santa sessions, we talked about it at your studio. Yeah. You are looking for nonprofit organizations, for community organizations to basically say, hey, this person deserves a little something. Yep. And have them come in to do a abbreviated session with you. It's not the full package, but it's something that's still a meaningful family memory together, folks that maybe have fallen on hard times or have done something or in some way deserve to receive a gift from you. And the second is the Santa on the Square thing, which is probably the lowest hanging fruit. It's the general public, anybody who walks through, here you go, here's the Santa, here's the setup, go for it. And then the creme de la creme, for those that have the means, is the full family package. The art, the dress up, the Santa, the set pieces, and all of that. And, you know, I'm looking at that going, well, that's really expensive in the grand scheme of things. But it's not, when you think of it, not as a picture, but it's art.
Well, and I think it's important
Absolutely.
to recognize too that we're a little different than a lot of photographers that get perceived as being high end.
Yeah.
We absolutely have options for clients to spend whatever they want to spend.
Yeah.
We'll do that. But even in our higher end offering, we have clients that have been with us for 10 years that don't spend more than $200 or $300. And they are getting some of our best art that we produce. It just really depends on how they want that art delivered to them. And what I mean by that is, do they want a nice album? Do they want a huge hand-painted wall portrait? Or they just want some simple Christmas cards and a couple of prints? So we've got clients that spend about the same as the best option on Santa on the Square that come to our Magic of Santa. So it's not, it's weird. It's, we just feel... I find it difficult to exclude someone who really wants something. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So we try to do it where we can include everybody, but we recognize not everybody can.
Well, and Fred, you know this as an artist and a business owner as well. Like, there's a certain amount of give back that is. I mean, how many times have you volunteered for something that the chamber was doing, or to bring a photo booth to a gala for a nonprofit? You know, there's so many opportunities when you have a skill, when you have resources, when you have technical capacity to deploy that and gift it.
Right.
You have the ability to gift something that I don't. I can't give someone a Santa experience.
But you can help. And what I'll tell you is, I don't want it to sound like I'm bragging on us or something like that.
Well, you are. I invited you here to make sure people know what you're doing.
But
it's okay.
Several years ago, it started with a local young lady by the name of Cashel Westrup. Some of y'all may know her in the community or know her dad. But she contacted me and asked us if we would be willing to donate a session to a family that wasn't going to have a very good Christmas. And the mom had terminal brain cancer. And so the first one the dad did, and we did the session, and he passed away a few months later. And then, so when we did that, the lady that we provided that session for asked us if we would be willing to do that on a regular basis because she was part of a support group. And we said, absolutely. So we've been featured several times on like Channel 11 News, and not because of what we do, but because of, and to me, this is really important, but because of the story those people have to tell and want to bring attention to their condition. But also, when we came out of COVID, you know, it was tough for us. As the studio shut down, we have no income if people aren't coming. And so I partnered with a couple of local businesses, Frisco Wholesale Lumber, and then I can't think of the fireplace, what their official name is. I'll think of it shortly. But we partnered, Create Stone. We partnered with them to help them build our set. And we went to them and said, hey, I want to keep giving back to the community, but we need help to do that. I can't afford to do it this year because of COVID. And they say, hey, how about if we build your set to save you money, and then you can give back? And we were featured on Channel 11, not because of what I did, but because of how community partners, how businesses like yours, your insurance business, or your photography business, or my business can work together with local businesses to then give back to some people that may not be having a very good Christmas. And we want to do that a little different this year, and we have partnered, you probably aren't aware of this, we have partnered with Love Life Foundation.
Oh, cool.
And we've given them 50 sessions, and they are going to be giving them to some of the elementary schools and to some of the kids that they know that probably wouldn't get to see Santa this year, and they're going to get to come see Santa on the square. So we've got a couple other charities that we're talking to. So we don't want people reaching out to us because it's just overwhelming for Lori and I trying to run a small business. So we felt the best way was to give those to the charities and let them. That's their specialty. That's not ours.
They know how to find the right people.
Yeah, let
Absolutely.
us handle Santa.
They already have their hands in the community.
Yeah.
In those specific genre, those specific people that we need. So we want them to be able to reach out to them. They already have connections with them.
So because I know we're short and sweet today. You guys have a very full day.
We do.
I want to make sure that we're clear on the opportunities because we're recording a block today. You guys are the third episode of 5 that we have today.
Yep.
But we're putting you as the first release of this block because it's so timely that people hear this episode and figure out what you all are doing. So talk to us about what's going on the square, what your activities are this December.
Sure.
Because this is unlike a lot of our episodes. You know, Fred and I typically have someone here. It's more just informational. It's some kind of general call to action. In this case, it's actually hey, as you listen to this episode the first week of December, there's stuff that's happening very soon after that you're going to want to be taking action on.
That's right.
Talk about that.
So we will be at Home for the Holidays, which will, when this airs, will have already taken place. And then we'll be at the Santa on the Square. And then obviously we have our Magic of Santa. And really where we need help, we want to even do more. And that's why we would love to talk to a community partner that could help us continue and do more of what we do. That could be sponsor at Home for the Holidays. It could sponsor Santa on the Square. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that come through those things that would really benefit a local partner to help us do that. So, we'll be doing Santa right up until Christmas. And the big thing that I would request the community do is spend your dollars local.
Yes.
Support your local businesses. And I get it. I understand, you've got your favorite Santa somewhere. And I respect that. That's fine. Go visit. But there are a lot of families that are starting their traditions. And if you're in McKinney, spend your dollars in McKinney because it helps support, McKinney residents who may not be able to do things. So, whether it's our Magic of Santa, whether it's Santa on the Square, or if it's a different photographer that does Santa, find those photographers, find those businesses, and support local.
Now, talk to me about some of the more accessible options because obviously, you've got the full meal deal where you end up spending a couple of grand when everything is said and done for the full experience, costumes and all of that. For some people that are maybe prone to just go to the mall Santa over at Stonebriar or whatever, you're going to end up spending $100 when all is said and done when you buy the prints or the digital download or whatever. What is the alternative with Magic Maker Studio?
Sure.
There's got to be something that's more. Would you have like a Santa day where you have sign-up slots where you have a rented professional Santa who's there on location?
And that's what Santa on the Square is. It's $29 to sign up, and we're editing the images professionally this year. I mean, that's about as low as you can get in the community.
$29 for a professional Santa picture.
And then they will have packages they can pick from on top of that $29. But our average client last year at Santa on the Square spent $65.
Wow.
So that's pretty economical.
That's really accessible.
Right. And then I want to make sure that we don't scare people away with our Magic of Santa. That's a 45-minute session. We've got 3 different sets. And we have clients, like I said, that do that and will get 2 or 3 great images that are beautiful art pieces, and they never spend more than $300 or $400.
Yeah.
But yet we also have clients that do all kinds of crazy things, like our albums, and some of those are pricey, and some of them are really reasonable prices. This year we added a children's book to our offering that the kids can take to their room and read their pictures with a story made for them to really embed those memories for forever.
Yeah.
So we've got every option covered for Santa, from the low end to the high end.
And then, of course, when you're actually out on the square, like at the walkthrough thing with the Santa that's literally sitting in the middle of the street with the barns and everything.
Right.
The hay bales, I should say, not barns, because we don't have barns in the street. I don't know what that's all about.
Right.
But you guys are there for the Home for the Holidays.
Yes. The Home for the Holidays is 3 days where all we do is manage the lines, and people use their own phone, and that's $7, I think, to do a picture with Santa.
Yeah.
And then Santa on the Square starts the first Thursday after Thanksgiving, which I think is December 5th. something around there, whatever that.
I don't know. I didn't get my coffee this morning.
The first Thursday in December. The first
And
Thursday.
what you are donating, those 100 Santa sessions, is 100 of those Santa on the Square.
That's correct.
Well, like the where they come to your location.
That's correct.
For a what is it, 10, 15
It's a
minutes?
5-minute session,
Okay.
which is really, it's longer than you realize when you're sitting there with Santa. There's time to get a couple of pictures with the kids. There's time for mom and dad to jump in there. We're pretty good at this. We've done
You're professionals.
thousands of Santa sessions.
There you go. And those are the ones you're donating 100
That's correct.
of.
That's correct.
Love
We
it.
will do
Okay.
we will do some Magic of Santa sessions for free for 2 or 3 families.
But those are very curated selections, terminal cancer and whatnot.
We have someone that we've put in charge of reaching out to us and saying, "Hey, I've picked some families that really need this." And
Yeah.
if I'll share a YouTube video with you where you can see one of the first ones that we did, and
Love it.
every time I share it with other
He
students,
cries every time.
I cry every time.
sure.
Oh, man. I was crying watching it. And then realizing that person passed away.
Right.
After-
Yeah, I did show you that one.
And then
Yeah.
their family has this keepsake.
Right.
That it becomes an heirloom.
Right.
Over the family. There's, beautiful image,
Yep.
professional framing
I get
done.
goosebumps thinking
Definitely
about
something that you can't just go back and.
Well, their
redo.
kids,
That's right.
the kids will take that for the
100%.
rest of their life
Yep.
and cherish that piece of art because they're, the parents no longer with us.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what pictures are all about.
Yeah.
That's
And
why we do it.
In the interview that Ricky did when they were doing the session, it's something I'll never forget. She goes, "I just want something my kids could remember me by if this is my last Christmas." And she passed away 2 days prior to the next Christmas.
Wow.
So it was
her last Christmas.
It was, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so just have to know, for you growing up,
Yes.
Santa, big deal.
Yeah, that's
Oh, you should see this picture
that's-
that he's got. Are you going to pull it
That's-
up?
no, that's-
he's got this
well, here,
picture of
I
him
do
in
have
his
a-
lap, and he was this creeper Santa.
I do have a Santa tattoo.
He literally
on my-
has a forearm Santa
Yeah.
tattoo.
I'll give the
That's dedication, man.
Yeah, we're going to let your
He's all
podcast
in.
grow just a hair longer, but I'll give you the short version. I was adopted when I was 8, and I've reunited with my biological mom, but she picked us up in the car. 5 minutes later, I was at my grandparents'. I didn't see her again until I was in my 20s.
Really?
And that happened around Christmas. So for Christmas, it sucked for me as a kid because I had those memories of that. But then when I went through my divorce, we ended up getting my daughters on Christmas, and I had them just to myself on Christmas Day. And that's when I fell in love with Christmas again. And then I came home one day and told her, I said, I was actually in George Fuller's old Guitar Sanctuary where our first studio was. I'd rented it for a week and said, "Hey, I've seen this thing. I want to do high-end Santa portraits." And she said, "You're crazy."
I did. I thought he was insane.
But I fell in love with Santa and with Christmas all over again. And it stemmed from getting my daughters every Christmas for the whole day with just us. And that kind of made Christmas special to me again when it wasn't a special memory as a child. And now I just try to make it special for every kid. They deserve it.
Man, that sentiment,
cool.
that sentiment is what
love
this podcast is all
That's
about,
right.
man. The moment that you reached out and I understood what you're doing is like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, at the end of the
Yes.
day, it truly is. I think Lori will speak to my passion. It is creating ridiculous memories for those kids. Santa and I put on a full-blown play. It is a skit. I am the antagonist. I'm making Santa look great. I'm on top of the naughty list.
He's
And
always, and guess who's on the top of the nice list?
Lori,
Yeah.
obviously.
Me, because I have to put up with him.
But
Yeah.
you talk to our visitors that come every year. It's a full-blown play that Santa and I put on.
That's fantastic, man. So is there room for us to jump in? We have a few of those slots, like 5 or 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So as you're listening to this, if you're watching this video, message us if you know somebody who deserves one of those 100 slots. And thank you for giving us a few.
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine there's not a lot of them, but somebody's going to message and say, "Hey, can I get in on that?"
Right. And I want to make it clear, these are for families that
Have a need.
that have
an
true
actual
need.
need.
That's why we don't manage the process because
Yeah.
you should have seen some of the crazy requests we treated. My husband didn't get the VP promotion at Frito-Lay. We deserve a free Santa session. Like,
No.
no, that's not really what it's
that's
about.
right.
There are people that there are people that may not be here next Christmas.
Yeah.
And we want their families to have professional portraits.
Yeah.
And that's our goal.
Well, and literally just before you guys came in, our last episode was recorded with Dana Riley from the Samaritan Inn.
Yep.
And if you're at the Samaritan Inn, you deserve
100%.
a Santa portrait with your family.
We had a family from Samaritan Inn last year.
Yeah, so you know firsthand.
100%.
The overlap between these two episodes is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really it. That's the whole episode, folks. It's hard for me to describe what they do. You've just got to check out their social channels, check out the work. Let me see that book for just a second.
This is the book that the kids get to take to their room so that mom doesn't worry about
So
them
I'm going
messing
to put
up.
this up and just pick one of these pictures here, because this is a hardbound book. But I mean, look at this right here, camera 1, or is it 1? Yeah, camera 1. Look at that. That right there is a picture. It is a photograph. But wait, it's not just a photograph. It is so much more than that. It's literally a storybook where there's actual pictures taken in studio, but they're artistically edited. Those are like people that were there in the studio.
Yep.
And
no green screen.
no green screen. This is
no
an actual
AI.
set.
No. Yes.
Like this, I mean, that is phenomenal.
And that's the one that we designed. We said that we would hope every kid can get one of those that comes and sees us, so they can read it in their room during the holidays or take to show and tell or
And this
whatever
year
they
we have a live model train running through all 3 sets.
Yeah.
So
Love
that
it.
makes it really fun. The kids really like the train.
Yeah.
So check out Magic Maker Studio, the Santa setup on the holiday in the Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays is the thing that's on the square in McKinney. Santa on the Square is at your studio.
No, Santa on the Square is the little houses on the square.
Oh, okay.
Home for Holidays is the festival.
That's the festival that goes on. For
You'd
the
think I would
Friday,
get
Saturday,
the
Sunday.
information correct. Sorry,
The easiest-
I'm getting my
You
names
didn't-
mixed
maybe
up.
you shouldn't get your coffee today either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the easiest way is we own the trademark Magic of Santa. So if you go to magicofsanta.com, there you can find us
Isn't
there.
it nice to have a trademark?
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's nice, and it's a tough thing because so many photographers want to use that phrase, and I have to ask them not to, and that's always a tough conversation. So,
Or just pay you and
right.
license
exactly.
That's right.
That's,
There you
that's
go.
right.
And we've
Intellectual
done
property,
that.
baby.
Yes, absolutely.
Now we have 3 trademarks for
Okay.
various things, and have to exercise them sometimes.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, what's the point of having intellectual property protections?
That's right.
Man, I need to trademark something now. I feel left out.
Wait, you don't have FredShots trademarked?
Yeah, but who's going to infringe upon that? Oh, like,
Oh, the
let's see.
photographer's named Fred?
How many guys you know named Fred?
I mean,
My daddy's name's Fred.
Yeah, is he a photographer though?
Yes.
Oh well.
And
Or he was.
the guy who taught me all about trademarks and the value of it is a local McKinney artist, and you should have him on, John Christopher Davis. I don't know if you know John.
oh, I've heard the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he owns the trademark Lone Star Attitude.
Ah,
So
I
he was
love
my
it.
very first commercial client.
love it.
Yeah.
How about
Good
that?
stuff.
Yeah.
Folks,
that.
check the show notes of this episode. We're going to let these wonderful people get back to their day. They were kind enough to come over.
Santa's
He
calling.
tried to cancel on me, and I'm like, if we don't record today, we're kind of missing the window for
Yeah.
Santa, man. So I appreciate you guys coming in and making time in your busy schedule. This episode is going to drop the first Monday of December.
Awesome.
Check out Magic Maker Studio and their social channels. Look for them on the Square for the Holiday in the Square event. Chris and Lori Fritchie, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It's been great.
Folks, it's been another episode of the McKinney Podcast, celebrating what makes us unique by nature. Make it a great day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you again real soon. Y'all take care.